Hello, it is Sunday, January 10th, 2021. I'm producing a video here on analysis that I've done on Exodus 3 1 Exodus 3-1 4. So here we go. In Exodus 3-1 4, God says unto Moses, I am that I am. And he said, Thus shalt thou say unto the children of Israel, I am hath sent me unto you. So, what's really going on here, and what's being said in this passage? So, I have an analysis of this, and it's kind of a creative one, but it's a pretty good one. So, what I'm going to do is go here and show you what I discovered. Basically, with I am, you could say I am is a fancy way of saying 311, or it's 311 backwards because the I could be a 1 and the A could be a 1, and the M is a 3 if you rotate it perpendicularly, so it could be 311. It could also be AI and the number 3 added to insult the Trinity, so it's you go backwards. And the way I got to this point is that if you take the paradigm of, let's say, Anton LaVey, who's one of the premier Satanists from the 20th century, his paradigm is to basically read and to do things backwards. He says you shall learn to read backwards, walk backwards, listen to music backwards. That paradigm's used kind of many times over here and there for people of a certain sect to look at. They basically, the elites, some of the elites, and some of the people who are into this kind of thing do things backwards. They also look at the Bible this way. In many regards, they either copy the Bible or they go in the exact opposite of it. But you sometimes will get a different story if you go backwards in the Bible and you literally do things backward in the Bible. You get a totally, completely different story. Sometimes, as is the case that I'll show here, is that you get a different story. So we have that. The AI and the number 3 had to insult the Trinity because for this one up here, basically, witches and wizards do things in 3, so AI has to do with artificial intelligence. AI, the number 3 added to insult the Trinity. So we have that there. And then we have the AI false, we have this here, which is the AI false trinity of the Antichrist. So that's, the Antichrist will mimic Christ, and it will probably not be human. So because God dwells in the human form, and God and Lucifer are written all over the human form, as Under the Stars has said. So an AI and art, anything that's made of too much iron, or basically not, a place where God can't dwell in, which is not a flesh suit, is the abomination in the temple that in the body temple that causes what causes abomination in the body temple is not having the human form, basically. So the AI false trinity, the Antichrist, is basically is pretty much that. So I am is written 3 times in that passage. So one way of looking at it is that it's saying you take the M and you rotate it perpendicularly and it becomes 3. So you have 333 or MMM, or 33.3, or 30 of the angels that fell from heaven, which is a way of saying that there. So it's saying that too. And it's also saying up here 311 to a certain extent. So it's talking about the fallen angels, and it's talking to you that what I think the passage is trying to say is that is that to send God back into the time loop, AI is going to have a hand in it, and this house of sand, sinking sand that we're in, is going to have a big hand in it in terms of bringing God back eventually, even though things have been ruined to a certain extent, based off of the lid being blown and other problems that have occurred. That this is what sends God back, basically, because it's a thing that God can't dwell in, and it's the opposite of God because Christ came in the human form and was both perfect man and perfect God all at the same time. So what it's probably trying to say is that AI sent me back to you into the time loop because Exodus 3-14 equals 8. So it shows you the figure 8, the time loop, basically, of the Ouroboros there. So what I think it's trying to say is that tell them that I am hath sent me. says here basically tell them that I am hath sent me on to you towards the end. As the end here, it says I am. It says right. Let me just highlight that. Proving difficult to highlight. Okay, it was partially highlighted. So I am hath sent me on to you. So what it's trying to say is that I am will send me back to you into the time loop, being this this thing that's going to come about, or that is already brought about. And so this thing that's brought about does bring about, as it says in 2 Thessalonians, I believe it's 4:4 off the top of my head. It's 2 Thessalonians 2:4 or 4:4. It's one of those passages, this thing will bring peace and stability. So, and the other thing is that's interesting to note is how this is like, this passage here is telling you the present of what was going on in Egypt, the Israeli, I can't talk. This passage is talking about the present, what's going on with the Jews in Israel, and that they're getting out of the house of bondage in Egypt, because it says down here, it's talking about basically getting, the Jews out of Egypt, and getting them out of the oppression, and then talking about Moses going to the Pharaoh to bring forth the children of Israel out of Egypt. So, and then the thing is that in order to get us out of the quagmire in the future, because Exodus 3:14 is now talking about the future, and so it's talking about the past and the future at the same time, because this passage right here is now talking about the future, in my opinion, if you get into creative interpretation of it, as I did here. So it's showing you the past and it's showing you the future. And so that's what I think this passage means, and we'll just leave it at that for now, and I hope you all have a good day.